Alright, hello ladies and gents. I'm going to talk to you about paraphrasing. Now, paraphrasing is going to be something that's very important for working on your research projects to make sure that you are doing things correctly when it comes to providing not only accurate citations, but that you are taking the information that you're getting and you are putting it in a new way so that you are not directly stealing. So, let's get to it. Paraphrasing is your own version of important information and ideas expressed by somebody else presented in a new form. You're taking someone else's work and you're making it your own. It should be a more detailed restatement than just a summary. Okay? So you shouldn't just be summarizing what's going on, you should be restating it in a little bit more of a detailed way. And this is one legitimate way, if you provide accurate documentation, to borrow from a source. And you should be doing this whenever you get information from a website. So, why should you do this? Well, it's better than quoting from a passage. You can quote, in some cases, from a passage, but that can be a little bit time-consuming. It can help you control the temptation to quote too much, because if all you're doing is providing quotes from another source, you're not really providing your own take on this. And the mental process required for successfully paraphrasing helps you really get and understand what you are learning about. If you are just quoting someone else's work, then you're not really showing that you understand the information that's being presented. So there are 5 steps to effective paraphrasing. 5 simple to follow steps. First thing that you need to do is you need to reread the original passage until you understand its full meaning. So if you find yourself a fact or something that you want to use for your research paper, reread it just to make sure that you understand exactly what it's trying to tell you. One of the main reasons for this is that the more you reread something, the more easy it's going to be for you to redefine it in your own terms. You want to look for any keywords that detail what your information is about. So what are the main words that stick out? Is there any important bits that you need if you're going to be conveying the complete information, the facts? You need to make sure that you include all of the important things, okay? So you're going to set the original aside after you've done those 2 things, and then I want you to type what you feel like you read separately, thinking about those key words. So don't look at what you are trying to paraphrase directly. Try to remember back. If you're able to recall this from memory, it can help you when it comes to making sure that you are not reusing the same stuff. Using synonyms can help as well, words that mean similar things to what you're trying to say. Next, check your version with the original to make sure that your version accurately expresses all of the essential information. Okay? So, compare your passages together. If there are still too many similarities, go back and figure out what is it that you can change. Okay? And lastly, use quotation marks to identify any unique term or phraseology that you have borrowed exactly from the source. There are sometimes some words specifically that you would need to include. And if you're using specific words, make sure that we understand that you're not just borrowing this or stealing this, that you are actually borrowing it but giving them credit. So, recording the source as a citation in your bibliography is going to be the last step. If you paraphrased from someone else, you'll need to cite their work. I know that this says 6 here, but think of this as well, of course you're going to do this. If you borrow information from someone else, then you need to give a citation. Okay? So, here are some of the examples. So, a legitimate paraphrase is right here, an acceptable summary is right here, and a plagiarized version is going to be right here. So the original passage of students frequently overused direct quotation in taking notes, and as a result, they overused quotations in their final research paper. Probably only 10% of your final manuscript should appear as directly quoted matter. Therefore, you should strive to limit the amount of exact transcribing of source material while taking notes. Okay, so some of the more important things that you're going to need to think about if you reread this again, it will help you get a better sense of what's happening in this paragraph. Look at what are the most important key parts of this So students frequently overuse direct quotations in taking notes. So a lot of people will continuously use direct quotations, and when they do that in their final paper, they're going to overuse direct quotations. So quotation seems to be a big one, and overusing. Okay, so the next key fact is that you should have only about 10% of your final product should appear as directly quoted matter. Okay, so we have this declaration statement right here, and then what you should do about it. Therefore, you should strive to limit the amount of exact transcribing. So there are some larger words here that you actually might need to go and figure out what they mean anyways. Like transcribing means like rewriting. So something that works in research papers, students often quote excessively, correct? Right up here. So they frequently overuse direct quotation, and they frequently overuse quoting in the final product. So that is that's fantastic right there. Failing to keep quoted material down to a desirable level. So this is kind of the analysis of the first parts right there. Since the problem usually originates during note-taking, it is essential to minimize the material recorded verbatim. And verbatim means word for word. So I don't see a lot of these larger vocab words directly used in the original passage. They did a lot of synonyms. They tried to rewrite this in such a way that makes sense. The main idea still is here. That's from here. Plagiarized version, notice how they say, in fact, probably only about 10% of the final copy should consist of directly quoted material. That's almost word for word exactly what's right here. If you can really just see one or two word changes, that's not different enough, okay? It's not different enough. So you're going to want to make sure that you avoid that. What's wrong with plagiarizing though, right? Oops, why'd you do that? What's wrong with plagiarizing? I mean, in those previous examples, you got to see that some of them were very copied. But why is it bad? Well, it's dishonest. If you're trying to come up with material that's your own, you're essentially lying about it. I know that in some circumstances, it can destroy your academic reputation. In other words, your value as a student. If you are somebody who is a cheater, it's hard to shake that label. In some instances, when you get to become an adult, there can be some legal repercussions or consequences, or even monetary ones. So you might have a fine to pay. I know in high school, you'll usually fail those papers. In college, they can, many colleges will actually kick you out of that university if you are caught plagiarizing. So that's why we paraphrase. Next, Aloha High School even has a commitment to this academic integrity. So if you look at their academic integrity part in their school policy, they want to make sure that you avoid plagiarism as well. Okay? So to summarize everything that I just said, don't copy other people's work, paraphrase it, and always give credit to the source.